Well, we have two very distinct gentlemen here, folks, today because we're coming out with the movie Dear Mr. President, Show Me the Money. Show me the money. Okay, just like Jerry Maguire. And we're very, very excited because Show Me the Money, the movie, is about the straw man. And we've dumbed it down so much so that I believe that you people are going to not only resonate with it, but it's going to get a lot of you people going to dig. And that's exactly what we want. And at some point, who knows, we might even set up a classroom where you could go once every 2 weeks or once a month. And gentlemen like this will be conducting the classroom. Why? Because they're ready for it. They're going to be the teachers of the future to teach humanity so that we can move this thing forward the right way and not the wrong way. Gentlemen, welcome to the Mel Carmine Show. Typically, we always talk about digital assets and health and how to be healthy. But if you got a police department that's constantly pulling you over, and you got people spraying you like lab rats, and you got other people spraying our fruits and vegetables to try and kill us, and they try to give us that safe and effective trust the science bullshit that didn't work so well for a lot of people, unfortunately. A lot of turbo C's out there, if you know what I'm saying. We got to try to keep it under the radar so we could use it for YouTube. But welcome to the show. We want to have a very, very prolific conversation regarding the straw man, and let's keep it dumbed down on a third, fourth grade level of education so that everybody can understand. Let's leave those college words exactly where they belong at the colleges. Thank you, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Who wants to go first?
You
Jerry,
tell
you're
us.
ready. You're like a bull in a china closet.
All right. Well, one of the most major things I would like to talk to you about a straw man is you're a living, breathing person. Your heart beats. You have blood in your body. But as soon as you're born, they tag you with a birth certificate and they give you a number. And it's an all cap letter.
Mm-hmm.
Now you grow up, you get a driver's license, and it's all cap letter, and you sign it. You don't know any different. They tell you got to get a driver's license, and they tell you get a job, and they tell you have to file your taxes. And then as soon as you file your taxes as a sole proprietary. So that's a corporate entity linked to an all cap name, but that's not you. You're a living, breathing person, but they identify you as a corporate entity. So if you're driving down the road and a police officer pulls you over, who's he pulling over? He demands your driver's license, your registration, and your insurance, which is all corporate identifications of things. So he's pulling over your corporate entity, your sole proprietary. But he's going to put the blame on you until you have to go to court and pay for this. But when you go to court, the judge is going to have a document that has all cap lettered name there. So he wants to take money out of your pocket to pay for a corporate commerce transaction that they claim you committed crime of. So you can see the overlap of the gap of the fraud. You're a living, breathing person, but then they call you a corporate entity. It's fraudulent.
So when they call you out by name and it's got the all caps name, all right. I'm the audience here. I play like the audience. Basically, the all caps names is that corporate entity. When they get you to admit that you are that person, that's when you automatically entered into a legal contract with them, and that's what gets you in trouble. I'm sure that Mahto is probably itching to jump in on that question. Mahto, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, how are you? Are you talking to me?
Yes.
You kind of cut out there for a second.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the all caps names when they can bamboozle you and they get you to admit that you are that all caps names. As he was saying, you're basically a corporate entity with a number and you're basically transacting as that person. That's not really you. But when they pull you over or they take you into court and they say, is your name Chief Mahto, and all caps names, and you admit to that, you've already admitted guilt. Am I correct on that?
If you walk into court and they say all rise and you stand up, you've already given them jurisdiction because you've obeyed an order. By the way, is Mr. Jerry done talking? I don't want to
for
step
now.
over him.
Yeah, no, you could chime in and then we'll bring him back. It'll make it interesting.
All right. But really, I come at this from a completely different angle. These are things that I was discussing 8 years ago with people. When you get down to the crux of this, you realize that you have a fence, and that fence is literally the linear line. It doesn't swerve. And that line of knowledge, you either go so far down the road or you do not. And one of the first steps in that is that you realize there is good and there is bad in this world, and the Most High exists. And when you get down to the minutia on the scriptures, and by that I mean the first 5 books of what you guys call the Bible by Baal, Baal. That's why it's a hand-picked collection of 66, not the 88 that are in the Sefer, Cepher Bible. That'll show you exactly the Hebrew as well as the English. And the biggest amalgamation of confounding that they created, which was changing the name of Yahuwah, which is the name of the Hebrew Most High, Yahusha, and the Ruach HaKodesh, which others would refer to as the Holy Spirit. But they changed it from those to the pagan names or derivations thereof. One of them is God, which is short for God real, the name of the angel who tempted Eve in the garden. They have Lord. If you look in Strong's Concordance, that means Baal, Baal. And then you also have Jesus. ESUS was the Celtic deity. Again, pagan, and there is no J in Hebrew. So literally, with the Catholic Church's intervention into all this, and King James 1611, who was a pervert, homosexual, pedophile, whose greatest work was on the occult, they did this name change on all 3 of them over 5,800 times and distorted the scriptures so that in the last days, as the scriptures predicted, he would change the times, the seasons, the language. You're on a Gregorian calendar, not the Jewish calendar. 99% of all who call themselves Christians, they go to church on the wrong Sabbath knowingly. They also have the wrong name of the Most High, his Son, as well as the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit. And no wonder why we're more confused than on a honeymoon when we're talking about law. You can't understand this if you do not understand the scriptures, because you can either live by man's law or you can live by the Most High's law. So the Mahto village is about living by a Most High named Yahuwah. Catholic Church wants you to live by these other 3, and that's who owns all 14th Amendment U.S. citizens. That's who owns D.C., that's who owns London, that's who owns the Vatican, the only 3 city-states on the planet. So that other little horn, as revealed in Revelation, I believe, is the UN. Why? Because their address is 666. It's right on the building. Look at all the statues in front of it, and then read Daniel, read Revelation. You'll see those are exactly the depictions mentioned. So I'm personally a preterist. I believe we're in that short season where Satan is loosed for a short time. That's why the chain on the Statue of Liberty is broken, because he's now loose to come out here and wreak havoc on we the people. But the whole genesis behind the Mahto village comes down to a ledger. And that ledger basically utilizes our form of trade, which is wampum. Wampum is what was exchanged for Manhattan Island, a handful of beads. So yes, our form of trade predates the US dollar, but because we have a Vivian's market in every Mahto village, and there is only one Mahto village per county that's allowed, unless it's an Indian reservation who doesn't practice apartheid against their own people with a blood quantum requirement, then in that village, you put whatever to the assayer's office, they log it. Now that's your value of wampum that's on the record. That's what we trade with privately. But we grow our own food. We have our own educational center. We have our own flag, and it's square. Why? Because you can't shoot the messenger under international law. And we are the messengers of Yahuwah. For those with ears to hear and eyes to see. It's not my fault if you refuse to educate yourself. That's on you. And if you're one of these pastors out here and you're advocating for all these things knowingly and willingly, remember, it says, woe to the teachers of the law and the lawyers. So who are the teachers of the law? Wouldn't that be us folk who stand up and pretend like we talk scripture and we want to lead people to the right path, right? But not everybody's like that. And if you're not going to tickle the ears, you're going to isolate people. So the villages are designed to give U.S. citizen public servants 50% discounts on all fresh fruits and vegetables anytime they want to shop at Vivian's Market. That's our evidence that we're here not to take over any government. We're not here to destroy governments. We're simply here to be able to exercise our free and, unalienable or inalienable, however you want to say that, right, as enshrined within the trust indenture known as the Constitution, ordained in 1789. These guys live by the constitutions of 1871 after the Organic Act that put DC in charge. So I personally believe Trump's been doing his thing, and it's been a military op. But, again, Derek Johnson, 1776, he and I are the only two talking about those topics, and I got 99% of everything I share from him. So he'd be the one I would talk to about that. But the Mahto villages, we have our own plate. We have that square flag. It has the Sioux medicine wheel. And again, that predates everybody. The primary difference between the Mahto tribe and all other Indian nations and this band of Mahtowian, Assiniboine, and Sioux is that this chief is inviting any American who is a law-abiding, loyal, non-pedo, non-violent offender, non-attorney who is unrepentant into the Mahto village within your particular county. Once it's established, the ledger is where all the value goes. The outer wall adopts the borders of the de jure county, whatever those were. The inner wall is where we conduct our trade, and that's our own private land. We don't have property. The land gets put in the name of the church, and we also have a worship center there for all religions. We accept all religions as long as you're peaceful, other than Satanists. And, depending on how you set it up, as far as your structures, I couldn't care less, but they all have to have the educational center. They have to have a post office. That's our post office, is wherever that particular headquarters building is. And that's our port that we operate in commerce under. So that's why in the last court case, I went in and explained to the judge, it's like the flag on the outside of this building has no fringe on it, which means this is common law on the outside. Yet here you are with fringe on your flag, and there seems to be a spire on top. That spire on top declares that you're at war. So which corporation can actually be at war with we the people in a building owned on the land? According to the Trading with the Enemy Act and multiple international laws, that's an impressive violation. Say nothing of the fact that it also violates Yahuwah's law. So anyway, that's pretty much the genesis behind the Mahto villages, why they exist. We are peaceful, law-abiding Americans. And each year, this is important, okay? This is why we're not these prosperity doctrine peeps. The Messianic Jewish community of Mahto Ministries on the Feast of First Fruits each year returns 99% of all of the growth in the value of Mahto wampum that year back to each individual village in proportion to what they created. So according to the scriptures, I'm not allowed to build up wealth for myself or for the church. But just got back from DAL, Dinosaur Adventureland in Alabama, Kent Hovind's people. Awesome place. You got to go check it out. It's great for kids and families. They don't charge anything, but they're doing almost what we are doing in the village, except for we have a trading mechanism. We have our wampum. So inside of the walls, you can trade in whatever you want. Outside the walls, that's public. So that's where we teach our people how to run LLCs, S Corps, C Corps. Those are tax-paying entities. That's how we contribute to the GDP. But we know who we are. We know how to operate in the public from the private. That's why Mahto Ministries owns the wampum. That's why we're in unincorporated areas only.
I'm guessing your wampum, would it be like digital currency or is it physical?
There can definitely be a digital currency, but each village would own that currency, and it would be specific to that village. Remember, Mahto villages are formed by finding 12 men, 7 of whom must be veterans, because yes, women don't vote. It's a scriptural thing. So in that village, the Mahto men put it together. You get your ledger, and then you get all the other, the assayer's office. You have to have all the other accoutrements to be a specific society that's separate from all others.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we are a peaceful society because that's why our flag is square. We are messengers of Yahuwah.
Okay, Yahuwah, not to be confused with Jehovah's Witness, correct?
Correct. They call it Jehovah, but Yahuwah is the Hebrew pronunciation of the Most High. Yahusha is the original pronunciation of his son, and the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, is the pronunciation of what people who call themselves Christians refer to as the Holy Ghost. But according to Ezekiel, we're not to allow the names of foreign Elohim to come out of our mouths. So this servant at least tries to refrain from using the pagan names.
Gotcha. So you have this sort of gated community? Do you have like walls where you grow your own fruits and vegetables? Which is basically what I've been saying. Look, things are so hosed up that we may, whether we want to or not, have to move towards building a tribal communities. Like, whatever your set of beliefs are, there's going to be walls going up around the planet all over the place with people who have a little bit of wherewithal, obviously, because you're not going to do this with no money, and you're going to bring in a bunch of people that contribute to the community. You're a plumber, he's an electrician, he builds free energy technology, I make pizzas, whatever, right? And
Yep.
everybody becomes a community. That's what you have done so far, from what I'm getting. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, let me hit those highlighted points. On the flag, you'll see that there's the Aleph, which is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The way that it is placed on there is also a 2D representation of a 3D model. If you pulled on that in the middle straight up, it creates the pyramid with the Queen's Chamber. So we are aware of advanced technology. That's what we're looking to do. However, the cool thing about Mahto Villages is we have an educational center, and it's required that 5 days a week, kids have to engage in knife fighting first, then wrestling, then BJJ, then stand up striking events like Muay Thai, as well as boxing, especially the boys. And then we also have 7 different languages that they have to master before they're allowed to graduate. We teach Hebrew. We teach Mahtoian Band of Assiniboine and Sioux. We teach English as the common or the Admiralty Law versions. On our flag, it has black for Admiralty Law, red for the blood of Yahusha, white because, again, it's the spirit of the Most High. And then we also have the other color yellow because we trade in only precious metals, things that are actually of value, not paper.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we are separate legally and lawfully, but also a peaceful society who, by the way, we're looking for land that borders the national parks. And here's a really cool thing about the villages. What would happen if our headquarters office, which I'm intending to be attached near Rexburg, Idaho, where I was hatched, if we have that happen and that's the headquarters for the Mahto Nation, we'd like to have the ability to have half of the educational center and half of the orphanage on the old side and the other half on the new. Why is that? Because we bridge that gap between the old and the new. And when the tourists come through Yellowstone, can you imagine them seeing a warrior's son or a kid from our educational center dressed in Sioux, Assiniboine, Northern Cheyenne, Blackfoot, whoever it is, and they're out there in traditional regalia, but the tourist that comes walking up and starts talking to them realizes they speak 7 languages. They actually have skills. They know how to defend themselves. There'll be no educational systems that will ever outpace a Mahto Village Educational Center. Why? Because it's we the people that own it. It's we the people that manage it. And guess what? My band of American Indians are the most educated American Indians that have ever existed, or they wouldn't be in there. And to be a fully enrolled member, you have to be able to pass an aptitude test. We don't let dummies rule. We don't let women vote. I know that's going to piss off half of the, feminazis out there, but again, not everybody's your target demographic. My job is to basically give them the information. Whether or not they accept that and use that is up to them. But if I agreed with them, we'd both be stupid and wrong.
How do the women that are part of your circle right now feel about the fact that they're not allowed to vote?
Well, that's a good question. The ones that have an issue with that certainly aren't Proverbs 31 women, and they're not my target demographic. So I don't really care. But the women that do know me personally love me because I'm kind, very kind in person. When I'm writing things online in the capacity of a pastor who must not tickle the ears, yeah, I can come across as a little abrasive, focused on things that, they don't want to hear because, accountability is kryptonite to women. And in today's world, they don't have accountability. They're sexualized at a young age. They're encouraged to do things that are all what in common? Anti-Yahuwah, anti-scriptures. And that's because Satan's number one primary goal is to destroy the family unit. So in the Mahto village, we have a different set of laws. We live by the common law. And there's one unique rule that nobody else, to my knowledge, has ever instituted, but no adult should ever be found alone with a child that is not their own. They can be arrested for that. And that's a capital offense, obviously, if it's a pedophile. That's why they're not invited. And all of these documents, the show cause motions, everything else, because I do everything lawfully and legally, They're being sent to the Supreme Court asking them, you show me where we don't have authority, superior jurisdiction over certain matters. If we've all agreed we're not U.S. citizens, we're electors, we're American Indians under the GAO 5.24 to 5.3. An Indian is defined as a Montanan, Idahoan, Washingtonian, Californian. In other words, that's why we give 50% discounts to all the U.S. citizen 14th Amendment slaves.
So as somebody that's not part of your wampum monetary system, and they're not part of your Yahuwah system, and I live maybe 10 blocks down the road or 2 miles down the road, can I come buy some of peaches and cabbages and tomatoes from you on whenever you have your the farmers market? And is it open to the public, or is it only specifically to your people?
No, you should look at it like a turbocharged version of Costco. That's what a
Okay,
Mahto village is, but it's all private, right? So we're out in the
gotcha.
unincorporated area. You have people who start businesses there. They retain 90%, 10% goes to the village.
Yeah,
That's how the village operates and maintains everything for the people who have businesses inside. But we also own businesses outside the village, that inner wall. And outside of that inner wall, if it's butted up to the national park, that's where we can, again, entertain the old way that we used to live. Pretty cool stuff there. I mean, if you had a buffalo hunt once a year and they're all out in like traditional native clothing, or you had pilgrims out there with their rifles, I mean, why
right.
not? If it was something for the benefit of my veterans, right?
Do you
Or
guys
for the
have free
communities
energy
at large.
technology? Do you guys have free energy technology on site yet?
No, not yet. But this is the thing, and this is why I'm really tickled about what you guys are doing. There's power in numbers,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're not following somebody who they can label as an anti-American. I was U.S. infantry because cops and firefighters need heroes too.
Sure,
And I meant my oath when I took it.
sure.
So
Right.
because of that, the Mahto village is established.
Yeah. Well, Jerry's coming down to the Quantum Summit, and it's up in the air right now. Where and I can't. There's certain things I'm not allowed to talk about.
Mm-hmm,
Why we might be moving it to where the actual wellness center is, or maybe downstairs if my landlord and I come to terms, which is a
mm-hmm,
much bigger place, and it'll be right downstairs from the center. But God wants me to have it near the center, I think, because God wants the center to be exposed because of the frequency and because the people are reversing all kinds of elements that the doctors cannot reverse. But before we go any further, guys, I got to give myself a couple of plugs. Guys, don't forget QFS1776.com shop. Okay, if you got dogs and cats and you want organic, super organic food for your dogs or cats and not flavored cardboard that comes from China, because that's exactly what you're feeding your dog. You're feeding them mostly flavored cardboard. Okay, that's why the dogs are dying at 6 years old with cancer. Okay, also Carmine's gold and silver, real money, God's money. Carmine's gold and silver. We could still get you the gold, and we could still get you the silver. The number's on there. Send me a text message. That number is not for socializing. It's specifically for business. 786-704 8817 786-704 8817. Also, that number works for $10,000 of XRP or more. Okay, not in less than 10,000, and there is no limit. If you have $100 million, you want to buy $100 million worth of XRP, can Mel Carmine get you $100 million? I can get you $500 million. Okay, worth. And also, if you happen to be in town, come visit us. We're in Cape Canaveral at 166 Center Street at Staying Alive with two E's. The other one belongs to the Bee Gees. All right, stayingalive.com. The miracle stories are amazing. Go there. If you know somebody in Cape Canaveral, pick up the phone and say, hey, don't go to the doctor. Go check out Mel. I'm not giving you health advice, obviously, but go check out this frequency stuff and let the testimonials pretty much speak for themselves. Okay. I want to switch gears now, and I want to go to both of you regarding the cops. Jerry, have you ever gotten stopped and put into practice a lot of the stuff that Chief here has done with the police officers, or do you still have a regular license plate on your vehicle for the time being?
Well, for the time being, I haven't even transferred my license plate to the state where I'm living in right now. My license plate still says I'm in Michigan.
Oh,
They haven't
interesting.
messed with me. Nobody's pulled me over yet, so I haven't had to have that experience yet.
Okay. So,
So
because if you're going to move down that same direction of Chief Mahto, I would love to have your truck, your pickup truck, wired and get that shit on that shit on the footage, you know, documented because that's kind of stuff we need to get out there to the public, obviously. So, but how did you learn about all of this, Chief? And because there's a certain language, I always said, you know, there's three ways to do things. There's the right way, the wrong way, and then there's Mel's way, right? I think
Mhm.
trying to educate the people and trying to get people to change their ways is a tall order. It's like trying to climb Mount Everest. It's a Mexican. It's really a Mexican standoff because people don't understand how the language works, how to use it, when to use it, the sequential order, the tone they need to use it in, all of that. And so, wouldn't it be easier for us to train the cops and go after the policy enforcers, right? Instead of trying to educate the people and say, "Hey, this is what you need to do. You need to learn and to do what Chief Mahto is doing." Because I think that
Well,
if we could get through all the cops and they know what you know, what I know, what Jerry knows, I think they would. I think they would hand in their badge once they believe it wholeheartedly that we are right and we are right, right?
we are right. But, the thing is, I've been very clear about this. They're hired specifically because they have an average 80 IQ. And I won't
Okay.
blame somebody who is intentionally hired because they might not be the brightest bulb in the shed. They have good hearts, most of them. I have many friends I still count as law enforcement officers. And I want to be very clear, the ones at the very top of this, those who call themselves Jews but are of the synagogue of Satan, the Zionists, anybody with the pentagram either on their Jesus jammies or anywhere on their flag or anywhere as their city is laid out, is of the Babylonian, end times whore of Babylon. Why is that? Because that's the corporate system. That's the mark of the beast. You can't buy or sell without it. It's their monopoly board. And when people finally see it, oh, wait a minute. So on the one hand, you have wampum, and on the other hand, you have US dollars. You're on their monopoly board. Right. Because we're not covered by the blood of a pagan Elohim. We're actually covered by the blood of Yahusha, who is the name of Yahuwah's actual only begotten son. So
Mm-hmm.
we can literally and legit lay claim to saying, hey, we're not part of your society. We wave the peace flag. It has the Sioux medicine wheel on it. That's why the cases in Idaho had to be dismissed. It's because under the ultimate user law, it says anybody in lawful possession of an illegal substance for personal use. So I have every right to medicate myself any way I wish that my people have been doing for thousands of years before any Europeans or any of the Satanists arrived. And that's why we don't ask permission, but we try to educate every officer that comes up because some of them, that kid in Idaho, Rexburg, city of Rexburg, great kid. And, you could tell right away he had a good heart. He understood something was wrong. He just didn't understand what the hell was going on. And we don't know this because we're brought up in public school and all the educators were educated in public school. This was literally designed to dumb people down. They got so good at it that a lot of reservations adopted the Act of 1924 and instituted a blood quantum requirement, thereby creating apartheid against their own people by artificially reducing our numbers. That's the last thing you do if you're trying to make sure your society actually survives is start artificially reducing your own numbers. They're dumber than a bag of hammers. But again, it's ignorance because we've been educated in this system. So that's why with
Mm-hmm.
love, Yahuwah's grace, we're going to go out here, reach people and let them know, hey, look, no reason to panic. Don't overthink it. You have good, you have evil. If you'd like to be part of the Mahto village, trade peacefully and lawfully, have breakfast, lunch, supper together as members. It's open to the public as far as trading. It's open if you're a member. Anybody can use the wampum. Just because you're a Mahto tribal member doesn't mean you're in Mahto Ministries. But if you're in Mahto Ministries, you're automatically a Mahto tribal member. We have our own birth records. We have our own marriage contracts because we do not give our kids to the state in any of their foundries, which is what a hospital is, or a police station, or a nunnery. All of these places you used to be able to drop offspring off at. And that's why there they create the birth certificate. That's why whether she's married or not, they put mom's maiden name on there. Why? Because they create the pretext that you're a bastard. Now you're a ward of the state. You're their property. So we withdraw from that. We have our own identifications coming soon. But again, it all starts with the land. So when people, those who've been contacting me about donating land, thank you so much. You can put it on from the assayer's office, the value there on the books, and the village will pay you for it. I mean, that's part of managing your, your own village. It doesn't belong to me. It's your money. It's your land. It's just in the name of the ministry, so it's protected under the law. But it's still your village. This stuff doesn't belong to the chief. The only thing I've ever asked is keep a separate room for the chief. So if I ever visit, I got a place to stay. We'll sit by the campfire. We'll jam a little bit on the guitar, and we'll actually get back to fellowshipping, which is what it's all about. Saddest thing you see today is all these friends supposedly sitting out night on the town, and their faces are stuck in one of these stupid little screens. So
I like your way of thinking. I like your way of doing things, Chief. Except some women out there that are intelligent, that are alpha females, may have a problem with your system when it comes to the voting. And how
great,
do
go
you?
away, don't come back. I don't care. They're not our target demographic.
Okay.
And I mean that. I couldn't care less. As far as I'm concerned, they may as well be on the sands of Hammurabi and spouting it to somebody. I don't care. They're not here to help our society. They don't contribute to our society. And after, and they've already proven with 90% of all inmates being raised by single mothers that they're not worthy of wedding rings. They're not our target demographic. The only women that don't complain about what I have to say, virgin, Proverbs 31 women, because they're
Oh,
looking for men of the Most High.
it's funny. Even though you're on opposite ends of the spectrum, I think you would probably spark an extremely intelligent conversation with Andrew Tate, because he really, not that he thinks less of women, but he has his own way of thinking about women that is very different. And
I sent him and his brother an invitation to be honorary members. Their father was a veteran. And
oh yeah,
because of that, they can sit at the council fire with my veterans and as my adopted nephews if they chose to accept that. Personally, I sent them that because I admire both of them.
yeah. Uh, they like to party a little bit. They're a little bit wild. Obviously, they're young still.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the grays like you and I paint mine a little bit with some henna. you
Well,
know.
they're fighters, and our people always admire fighters. My family is known for being fighters and musicians on the reservation. That's where I was raised. And my youngest boy, he's a Muay Thai fighter. He had 2 head kicks, knockouts by head kick before he was 18. Now he's going to be doing the MMA. My oldest son, he's at West Point.
Hmm.
Let me see. The daughter, I was estranged from her. So unfortunately, I lost her to parental alienation. Same stuff all these fathers go through in the Title 4D, Section 666 human trafficking scheme of the USDA. Why is it in the USDA? Because they think the Goyim are their cattle. So if you've read the Protocols of the Elders of Zion or listened to the Rabbi Finkelstein interview and then read Leviticus where it says in the last days you'll eat the flesh of your own kids, you realize they own the meat markets, they own all the banks, they own all commerce.
Don't
That's
get
what
me
the Matrix
started.
is about.
Don't get me
So
started. There was a gentleman today. There was a gentleman today on X, a police officer, but a different kind of police officer. The kind of police officer, for all you police officers that are out there listening, that fights real crime. Okay, and he was going through the files, the Epstein files. And I don't know if I can even say this, but there's women on the table giving birth, okay, and they have the dishes ready. The kids are born onto a dish, and then they literally devour the kid. I'll say the word devour. You if that's what you're thinking, it's exactly what it is. But
they're
anyway,
Satanists. What else would you expect?
yeah. And so that is the kind of law enforcement guy that Mel Carmine specifically, and I'm sure I speak for our guests here as well, okay, has tremendous respect for. A guy that breaks the door down of the hinges of these assholes, these evil. There's no words to describe how evil these people are. Come on. Okay. I have a problem though with cops that pull you over because you're doing 7 miles over the speed limit. I have a fucking problem with that, and you fix that
Well,
problem.
The Mahto plate is owned by Mahto Ministries under private motor carrier with the DOT. So that's who actually has control and who has primary jurisdiction on all the byways and the highways is the DOT.
Right.
So by doing that, I was doing it again lawfully and legally. That was part of, again, the reason why they had to dismiss the charges in all the Idaho cases. It's also because I proved to them I'm on the land. I had my footprints, I had my handprints, I had my likeness, barefoot, standing
Yeah.
behind a national park sign. So that was my evidence that, hey, I'm not part of your corporate person. And if you look up the definition of person, it is an entity, a corporation. The two words that do not appear in any of these laws are man and woman. Why? Because that means living beings. When you go into court, you're using Latin. That's the language of the dead. That's why all stuff on there is in all caps, just like on graveyards. It's
Yeah.
dead. So we use the language of the living, all lowercase.
Jerry, do you have any questions for the chief? You're very quiet over there. I know you're like a sponge right now, sucking everything up.
Yeah. He just said something very interesting. The language of the dead. That's why you have a mortgage. That's why you are summoned. See, they use these languages and people don't even realize it.
Hmm?
They're derivative of more. Summons. You can't summons a living person. You can only summons a dead person.
Now do citizen.
So you hit on something there that was very, very, very good that most people never see. It's right in front of their face. You're summons to court.
Yep.
Why would
That's
they
why
use
I'm a
that term?
national, not a citizen. I don't sit in sin. I'm not a debtor. Being a debtor is a sin according to the scriptures, just like marrying a divorcee is a sin according to the scriptures. That's why I don't tickle
Yep.
the ears. I don't care if it pisses them off. Guess what? I've had many of them contact me all the time on Facebook. You know, they're all 40, 50, 2, 3 kids, all this baggage. Like, I really like it. Da, da, da. I was like, stop now. It's never going to happen. Someday I'm going to
Yep.
find some gorgeous 24-year-old with bad taste in men who wants to start a family, and I'm going to have more kids. I love kids.
Hey, you're right. And the scriptures say a man should not marry a divorced woman. It's
Mm-hmm.
very clear. I
Yep.
mean, it's very clear in the scriptures.
Yep.
So most people don't see these things that are right in front of their faces and they overlook them because they're programmed with the propaganda to believe that this is the way society is supposed to be. And that's what I
Exactly.
hope we can do, wake people up to understanding the wordplay that's got them all manipulated and blinded. And if we just live it and be it, then our land heals.
Mm-hmm.
But we must be it if we want it to be. That's a very good point. I'm very very interested in your ministry and what you're doing with your villages because that's what the scriptures tell you to be.
Mm-hmm. And once we
You know,
have, like, our dates of birth don't model what they have, again, because it's the day that you start dying. That's the date they record. The date we actually record is 9 months prior because your date of conception is when you arrived here. So we use the time of the actual day, but we use 9 months prior. We also have an Indian name for every one of our members. So they can keep the all caps name in commerce, do whatever they want. But when you flash one of our IDs, it's a different date, it's a different name, and altogether different society. And we have that legal and lawful right as enshrined within the preamble. When a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. However, I'm not here to throw off any government. I'm here to work within the lawful and legal confines, teach my intelligent men to do the same, and we go about life just trying to help our public, building communities. Again, the world's going to crumble around us at some point because Revelation and Daniel don't lie. The scriptures don't lie. That stuff's going to happen. What's our job in the interim is to preach to those with ears to hear and eyes to see. So if you're one of those pastors, you're one of those wealthy believers, I don't care what your religion is. If you want to get together, have 3 squares a day, fellowship around campfires, build all this renewable energy technology, get out here and start kicking ass, just loving on each other, I'm your guy. Call me.
You know, it's funny. God has a really funny way of putting people together because you have this thing that revolves around Yahuwah, and you have your own monetary system called wampum. And I have people that can build you the wampum in the digital format. I can put you together with more than one people that can put that together for you very, very quickly and explain to you how it works and put it on the ledger. And I also have another guy that can take your entire thing and put it into a religious, irrevocable trust, and no one can ever come take your shit because you don't
Mahto
own nothing.
Ministries is already based out of Kenya, but I appreciate that offer and I will take you up on it because I need all those volunteers. What I'd really like to have is a group of wealthy guys show up, kidnap me, we take off and go get these things started in every single county. And we do that because, again, we're trying to build the communities, but also we plan to buy refineries so we can refine our own fuel. We plan to have biomass regenerators utilizing all the old cooking oil to make our own diesel. We have all of the stuff necessary to really start teaching our young men and women some really cool things. I mean, our science experiments, Dr. Kent Hovind at DLA or DAL, and all the stuff that he's done, and not to mention, Walt Brown with the hydroplate theory, all these things that are being kept from us. And, we can have like guys like Mr. Jerry set up some experiments, show the engines and stuff that he's working with, which by the way, I want to chat with you more about. Cause like I said, I'm a big nerd. We could geek out on that for hours. So,
Awesome.
yeah, but basically that's what we're all about. So we're not going to let these jackass traitors to the Republic keep pushing their narrative. And the only way that we overcome that is when we can come together intellectually and they can see, hey, these guys aren't nut jobs. They know the law. They know it better than these attorneys and most judges. So as a result, guess what? We start sharing that knowledge. We're not gatekeepers. I'm not trying to charge you $5,000 to get you out of trouble with the law because I don't give legal advice. I walk softly and carry a big stick and I handle my own legal affairs, but I'm not a guru. Don't hear the name of the Most High. Don't ever claim to be a prophet, and that's why it says servant on my license plate, not chief. I'm the chief servant of my people.
Well, I see because look, not every gated community is going to think exactly the same. Like you're going to have your variations of your belief that make you a little bit different than ours. But I see a point where down the road, when we figure all this shit out and we do have heaven on earth, and everybody's got their own little tribe, their own little clique that they click with, you're going to probably come on my tribe and do maybe 2 day, 3 day workshop consulting with all of us. And then we're going to learn from
That's what
you.
I do now.
Right. And then we're going to come to you and we're going to say, hey, we figured this out. We figured that out. We got Jerry that figures out how to build, free energy motors. Let us show you how to build one. As a matter of fact, let us show you how to build all three of them that work without question. And you can have all the energy you want and never have to pay the guys upstairs. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I see this. I mean, I got this whole movie. Don't get me started. I'll probably make another movie again. You know what I mean? Yeah, by the way, you guys just saw little bits and clips of the movie, Dear Mr. President, Show Me the Money, a movie about the straw man. What did you think of what you saw so far?
Well, I think it's going to be an incredible movie. The information that I got spot imaged to was incredible. It's going to be epic.
Yeah. Chief, what'd you think?
I think it accomplished exactly what you said that you wanted to do, is to take it down to a level that people understood. The gentleman whose name we didn't have, he laid it out very succinctly just by pointing out you shouldn't have to pay money just to exist. And that's when when they really realize that Satan's at the top of this and that they do believe that we're their cattle, then the light bulb goes on. They're like, wait a minute, why am I trading, my labor 40 hours a week? When my father was on the tribal council, I was 14 years old and I was writing letters to the tribal paper asking that exact question. I saw the matrix then. I asked, why are we trading that lifestyle my people used to enjoy? Do you know what your average Indian did back in the day? He went out hunting buffalo. He went out and slept with one of his many wives. He had a painting that he might do every now and then. He had, some sort of a craft or activity that was actually wholesome and beneficial to the tribe as a whole. only a bunch of Satanists could show up and think they could improve on a system like that. I mean, did you have to worry about somebody getting kidnapped every now and then? Sure. But I mean, for the most part, right, we warred with each other. But who wants this other lifestyle with all this, 15-minute city nonsense? I mean, I
Oh
used to
my
be wealthy. I
God.
I lost 6 million in the divorce, but you're not going to catch me running around like a Vaseline salesman at a gay pride rally trying to engage in all of their commercial nonsense. All it does is cost us time and money and aggravation.
Well, listen, I got to pose the question, the obvious question. What are the chances at this point, Chief, for you to make the Quantum Summit? Obviously, the 27th is going to be mingle, networking, get to know our tribe. And I'm sure you'll meet a bunch of people there that are going to probably add value to what you're doing, etc. And then the 28th and the 29th is the actual Quantum Summit, Junior Quantum Summit. The 29th will be the premiere of the movie, Dear Mr. President, Show Me the Money. What are the chances of you attending that at this point?
They're actually excellent, especially if I can get back down to help my brother with one of the things that he's working on in Florida. So,
Okay. Well, as soon as it's
also I've got
definite,
other.
as soon as it's a definite, would you do me a favor and send me your mugshot this way we could slap
Yep.
it to the promos and the website?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, if you want to, you're welcome to use any of my images. You're always welcome to record what I say, because again, I do everything lawfully and legally. So
Yeah.
that's always been my intent. And
Awesome.
when it comes right down to it, um, it could very well also depend on, like I said, how fast you get this interview out to people, because I do believe that'll happen. And when I get in the company of those types of men, I know they exist because I've met them before.
Hmm.
But I've just kept everybody at arm's length while I was studying this the last 3 years. And now it's time to basically put this together. But when you get people who have resources, you got people who actually have the same mindset, they want to build something. That's what I
Yeah.
would love to see. Let's build up the buffalo herds again. Let's allow our Indians to roam inside of our national parks in true regalia. Let's allow tourists to actually watch something that's wholesome instead of nothing but OnlyFans websites or other things, that Americans are transfixed by. Let's bring wholesomeness back.
100%. And I'll tell you what, the fact is that we are so in anticipation because we actually created a movie. You didn't see it yet, but I'm going to blurb it out. It's Dear MR President.net. Dear MR President.net. That's a free movie. Anybody can watch it. And I'm one of the most stifled people when it comes to free speech because not everybody's dialed back the same way. They think that I'm extremely dangerous, so I'm dialed back like 98.8%. They think he's not as dangerous, so he's dialed back maybe 95%. Everybody's got a different number because everybody grows in different numbers. Jerry, we were able to get to him at about 138,000 because we run a lot of Telegram groups and a lot of my friends run Telegram groups. We started sprinkling him out there like fairy dust and he started to grow like crazy. We started mentioning him on our podcast, and then other people picked him up and they started mentioning him. So for us to get the most mileage out of this particular podcast, if you could send me your email address via text, I will shoot you via WeTransfer where you could download it and you could upload it directly to your channel. Jerry, you do the same. This way we get the most mileage and put it on the pages where you get the most traffic. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yep. I
important.
will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got about 80,000 people. You're approaching 80,000 people. That's an incredible feat. How long you been doing these crazy videos, if you don't mind me asking?
I didn't post any of the stops until just recently, again, because I knew what would happen with them. This knowledge is being thirsted after I get contacted, dozens of times a day
I'm
by
sure.
men who are going
I'm
through the
sure.
same thing I went through,
Yeah. When
and
Jerry
so
Jerry got to 138,000, we got to him about what, 5-6 weeks ago, Jerry?
Something
Safe to
about like
say?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody had said to him, "You got some kind of angel underneath your wings." Now I don't pretend. I don't take full accountability for his growth because he's a force to be contended with. But in the last 6 weeks, this gentleman went from 138,000 to over 400,000. What are you up to right now? 410,000, something like that.
About 416, I think, the last time I looked.
416,000 in 6 weeks from
yeah,
138,000. Okay. So I want him to get to 416 million.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because then that's an avenue for us to be able to get the word out and whatever it is that we believe in. Does that make sense? So we all got to work together. It's not who's got the biggest junk down there. It's about who, it's about who's growing. Let's work together as a team. Forget the numbers. The numbers are fictitious anyway. They're all bullshit. Okay. So
The
when
only
I
way to
created
win
the
this.
movie, when I created the movie, they really ratcheted me down. When I created the movie
Mhm.
about censorship, oh boy, that was like they sent me a message. My videos were getting 3, 4,000, 5,000 views. When I had 5,000, 6,000 subscribers, I was getting 100, 200,000 views. Now that I got 200,000 subscribers on all these different channels, I'm getting 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 maximum. When I came out with the movie, I wasn't able to go over 1,000. They sent me a message. They said, you're not allowed. So I got pissed off at them, and I translated the movie into Mandarin Chinese and Cantonese, Italian, French, German, Spanish, Russian. It's there. It's free. It is in perfect Spanish. It is in perfect Russian. It is in perfect Mandarin Chinese, the voice, because of artificial intelligence. And
Mhm.
but they're pissed off at me. So, but we'll see. Someday, one day, somehow, some way, we're gonna probably create our own social media platform. We're gonna think of the best thing, and we're gonna probably destroy them because we can outsmart them. They're not as smart as they think they are.
Well, I
And
was talking with a couple of these pastors about creating our own television network, like Angel Studios, everything else. You can get an actual, satellite at some point, but yes, we need to have our own programming. I hate to use that word, but our own educational materials that are wholesome. There's this kid, Brett Pike. I really like what he's doing. He does a lot of educational stuff. Another great thing and resource is inthebeginning.com, Walt Brown's hydroplate theory, or any of Kent Hovind, Ken Ham,
right,
Chuck Missler, all these guys who taught a lot of stuff dealing with scriptural, biblical, or whatever you want to call it, um,
yeah.
creation science.
Well, and now I've gotten a lot better at doing interviews. I used to interrupt a lot. I still do, but not nearly as much. But I still got these guys out there. So all you guys out there that are going to criticize me, oh, you didn't let the guy talk. You're constantly interrupting. You love to hear yourself. I got a message for you. Go fuck yourself. Okay. Go fuck yourself and go start your own channel. This way we can critique you. I don't need you. Nobody came to your house and put a gun to your head, say, hey, you got to subscribe to Mel Carmine's channel. If you don't like me, leave. See ya. Bye-bye. Nobody's going to miss you. I don't want quantity. I want quality. All right? Hey, I'm not allowed to talk on my own fucking channel. Fuck you. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Right.
So, guys, it was fun. We're going to do it again. Jerry, thank you for coming. I will talk to you in private regarding what's happening with the airplane hangar. We might still use that as when XRP goes to like freaking, $500. Okay. And we got a whole idea for that. That's going to be even bigger than what the original idea was. Actually, the original idea started that we were going to do it inside the center, and then it evolved into something else. And then God said, no, you got to bring it back closer to the center because I'm trying to expose the technology. The technology needs to get out to the people because the people need to heal, right? So,
Hey, Mel, will you do me one favor?
Yes.
Ask all your listeners to send this interview and everything about the Mahto village to Elon Musk.
Please.
Sounds like it's right up what
How
he's
did he
actually
find
been
you,
doing.
Chief? What is the name of your website and what is the name of your channel on Facebook, please?
Well, again, still looking for volunteers. I do have the website, locked up as far as the domain and everything. But right now, Mahto on Facebook is my primary channel. But if somebody wants to step in and handle all the social media for me, contact me. I'm always down for great people.
And it's spelled Mahto,
T-O.
right?
It's just Mahto, Michael Alpha Hotel Tango Oscar.
Perfect. Go follow these guys, Jerry. They're Jerry Reid. You can't mistake. When you get there, you'll see the number 418,000. Probably by the time this interview is over, it's gonna be 420,000. Okay, he's constantly growing, which is great. We need people that have massive, massive reach, and together we will take over the world, and we will absolutely defeat these Satanist bastards once and for all. Thank you for coming to the show, guys. I'm gonna hold you over for a little bit, and guys, get this out far and wide. You guys are amazing.
Thanks, Bill.